tolerably successful development after long training. Remember that over that training you will have no control. It is possible, and even probable, that whatever you may get in after life which is of real pleasure and service to you, will have to be won in spite of, rather than by the help of, those whom you are now about to pester, and that you will only win your freedom after years of a painful struggle, in which it will be hard to say whether you have suffered most injury or inflicted it. Remember also that if you go into the world you will have free will, that you will be obliged to have it, that there is no escaping it, that you will be fettered to it during your whole life, and must on every occasion do that which on the whole seems best to you at any given time, no matter whether you are right or wrong in choosing it. Your mind will be a balance for considerations, and your actions will go with the heavier scale. How it shall fall will depend upon the kind of scales which you may have drawn at birth, and if they have not been outrageously tampered with in childhood, and if the combinations into which you enter are average ones, you may come off well, but there are too many ifs in this, and with the failure of any one of them your misery is assured. Reflect on this, and remember that should the ill come upon you, you will have yourself to thank, for it is your own choice to be born, and there is no compulsion in the matter. Not that we deny the existence of pleasures among mankind. There is a certain show of sundry phases of contentment which may even amount to a very considerable happiness, but mark how they are distributed over man's life, belonging all the keenest of them to the fore part, and few indeed to the after. Can there be any pleasure worth purchasing with the miseries of a decrepit age? If you are good, strong, and handsome, you have a fine fortune indeed at 20, but how much of it will be left at 60? For you must live on your capital. There is no investing your powers so that you may get a small annuity of life forever. You must eat up your principal bit by bit, and be tortured by seeing it grow continually smaller and smaller, even though you happen to escape being rudely robbed of it by crime or casualty. Remember, too, that there never yet was a man of 40 who would not come back into the world of the unborn if he could do so with decency and honor. Being in the world, he will as a general rule stay till he is forced to go. But do you think he would consent to be born again, and relive his life if he had the offer of doing so? Do not think it. If he could so alter the past as that he should never have come into being at all, do you not think that he would do it very gladly? What was it that one of their own poets meant, if it was not this, when he cried out upon the day in which he was born, and the night in which it was said there is a man-child conceived? For now, he says, I should have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept. Then had I been at rest with kings and counsellors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as an hidden untimely birth, I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and the weary are at rest. Be very sure that the guilt of being born carries this punishment at all times to all men. But how can they ask for pity, or complain of any mischief that may befall them, having entered open-eyed into the snare? One word more, and we have done. If any faint remembrance, as of a dream, flit in some puzzled moment across your brain, and you shall feel that the potion which is to be given you shall not have done its work, and the memory of this existence which you are leaving endeavors vainly to return, we say in such a moment, when you clutch at the dream, but it eludes your grasp, and you watch it, as Orpheus watched Eurydice gliding back again into the twilight kingdom, fly, fly, if you can remember the advice, to the haven of your present and immediate duty, taking shelter incessantly in the work which you have in hand. This much you may perhaps recall, and this, if you will imprint it deeply upon your every faculty, will be most likely to bring you safely and honorably home through the trials that are before you. This is the fashion in which they reason with those who would be for leaving them, but it is seldom that they do much good, for none but the unquiet and unreasonable ever think of being born, and those who are foolish enough to think of it are generally foolish enough to do it. Finding, therefore, that they can do no more, the friends follow weeping to the court-house of the chief magistrate, where the one who wishes to be born declares solemnly and openly that he accepts the conditions attached to his decisions. On this he is presented with a potion, which immediately destroys his memory and sense of identity, and dissipates the thin gaseous tenement which he has inhabited. He becomes a bare vital principle, not to be perceived by human senses, nor to be by any chemical test appreciated. He has but one instinct, which is that he is to go to such and such a place, where he will find two persons whom he is to importune till they consent to undertake him. But whether he is to find these persons among the race of Chowbok or the Erewhonians themselves is not for him to choose. End of chapter 19.